quality on TikTok is different than quality.
Exactly. You have entertainment quality, you got story quality, you've got visual quality, you've got audio quality. Different things matter differently, right? On these different platforms. Your content has found success. It's, getting seen by millions of people now, right?
Which is crazy for me to think about. It's a little mind blowing and there's so many analytics to look at. This is a fairly new game for me. I mean, I did fitness for 25 years or whatever. I've been doing social media I've been familiar with it for the last 10 and really digging in probably the last 3, and with some help of people like yourself and some other really great people out there that have they just think differently than me. Right. And then they're also on the shit all the time. So they get it. And it changes so fast. It evolves so rapidly. It feels like what you're thinking and doing today is obsolete tomorrow sometimes. So I have to so one of the things I had to learn how to do was disconnect myself from being like getting too high or too low about what we were putting out there and really remain with the consistency. And you mentioned something that was really important to me, which I told you right from the get-go, is at all times, I want to respect the viewer or the listener, the subscriber who has invested their time or is investing their time into listening to or watching the content. And even if they're not down with the actual content, like they're not interested or whatever, they recognize that every time we do it, we are doing our very, very best to turn out the best quality product every time. It's the same thing, same as we always handled ourselves in the gym, as well as, hey, look, this might not be for you, but what we're doing here, we're doing at the highest level we can, given our capabilities and our talent levels. And we're always looking for ways to make it better. There's innovation that's coming. There's things that we've done. We've made more investment in certain things to make sure that, and by the way, that's a hard measure as a business person to go like, how do I quantify or qualify? Like, I'm going to buy this microphone, right? And what is that? What's the return on investment I'm going to get for the $350 or $400 I spent on the microphone? Well, I don't fucking know. I mean, I really don't know right now. What I do know is I do know I want to provide the best quality. And I do know that the current microphones or whatever that I have aren't doing that for me. I am not happy. And I've gotten some feedback from the listeners. Not that they weren't happy, but they clued me into a few things, and we should probably step this up. And I will realize that investment over the longer term. So going back to I'm in this for the long haul, we'll continually invest in providing a quality product. I think that's super important for anybody that's thinking about, really putting any kind of effort into this game, because it moves fast. Totally.
But one of the things that I respect, and that's so hard to do, that you've done, is you've kept the old stuff up.
Yeah. Yeah. I haven't tried to reinvent myself.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's just all up there. You can go back and listen to episode 1, and be like, okay, what's the difference? Intro's a little different, the way you talk, of course, like everything improves, but being able to go back and watch that, like when you started as a trainer, mm-hmm. I don't know what that was like your first, I don't know if you started, I mean, you could talk about it, your first client you ever had, but your skills changed, right? As you got older. The thing with that, and with having a job and improving skill sets and doing like that, you're never going to be like, you know what? I'm going to give away all the money I made. Right. I'm going to create a new business name. I'm going to shave my hair and I'm just going to start over. Right. But with content, it's so easy, man. You can just be like, oh, I'm so much better. I've learned so much. Delete. Nah. Right. Yeah. But, it's hard, man. It's hard to just keep going and put it out. I've noticed that with people. Right.
Yeah, it's interesting you brought that up, because again, going back to what I said before about I got this sort of lesson like every 100 episodes, you kind of level up, and thinking about the last, we're getting close. We're getting close to 100 here. But one of the ones that I remember, the episode that I remember being so unhappy with and literally embarrassed about was Jason Khalipa, world-class athlete, CrossFit legend. He's a local guy here. I was able to he volunteered his time. He's a super busy entrepreneur who said, hey, no problem. I'd love to come over and have a conversation. He made his way over he gave me a couple hours of his time. And this is a dude that runs, on a calendar and on a watch. That's just him. Right. I've got as many reps as possible as his book. I got it up here on the shelf. I mean, he's just like, I have this time. For the time that I have, I'm going to give everything I have, and then I'm moving on to the next thing. Long story short, I got the call. We're recorded this thing, listened back. It was shit. The sound quality was awful. It had a lot to do with equipment, had to do with some of the setup we had, and it was a lesson learned. But I remember reaching out to Jason going, Jason, I'm so sorry, man. I'm so embarrassed by this. This is not quality that we expect of ourselves. Here's the thing about podcasting. You can't really fuck that up, right? Because if you fuck it up, you can't, it's not like you can rewind it and do it again. If you're trying to have what I said, or what we talked about earlier was this is authentic, genuine conversations. You can't really redo it. So yeah, I mean, all that old stuff's up there. And when I look and listen back to it, I mean, sometimes I want to replay clips of some of the old stuff we had, because the quality of the content's amazing, right? Yeah. You know, like from some of these guests. I mean, if we go back and look at some of the people that we've had, like particularly in the fitness and the wellness space, there's some really high quality, you know, next level people in there. Some of those episodes still have more listens than, you know, even our more current, more popular ones. I guess the point of that is I sometimes want to put those clips up, but I go, Eli, I don't know if I want to put this up because it's not what our current listeners or our listeners would expect from us. And I don't want to disappoint them.
Yeah. And I came on after Kalipa, right?
Yeah. So, yeah.
Like sitting here taking
there was another group of people, and it wasn't their fault either.
There's so much that goes into it, and it's a
wild, wild west too. I mean, it's still like learning. I mean, sound engineering is one thing, right? Video production is another thing. Obviously being able to interview somebody and being organized around that, and also being a good guest. Those are all components that make a good podcast. So, but we've learned a lot of lessons.
Yeah. And it's taken me thousands of reps, you know, since the last 6 years. I think I started in 2016 professionally, like full time, but there's a formula, man. And it's kind of frustrating because I work with some people like fully remote, and, they have to do it all. And they have to set up the Zoom, and they have to do it all. And they, you know, the quality, there's like an engagement. Like if you get, you know, good and you want to spend time and you want to master some of this stuff, you can get in the room and take a conversation and, you know, get it in front of a lot of different people if you have that formula figured out. Right. And, you know, you were saying, 2009, somebody was like, you got to get on Facebook, man. And you're like, fuck off. Yeah. And now I'm over here saying, Scott, we got to start you a TikTok. And you're like, fuck you, man.
Talk about deep internal resistance, man. I mean, Instagram was one, Facebook was one thing. Instagram is another. Now we're talking YouTube. I love, I think there's some things with YouTube I can get on board with, but the whole TikTok thing was really driving me crazy. And you know, you'd come to me and go, dude, you got to get on TikTok. I'm like, dude, another one? We got to get on TikTok. Yeah. Another one. I go, how are we even going to make this work? Who wants to see me on TikTok? I mean, to me, it's a bunch of kids, right? Or it's a bunch of,
you got a large demographic on TikTok over 30.
Apparently.
I mean, if they're on TikTok, maybe they're still kids. You know?
That's what I was just about to say. I was trying to put it in more of a sort of diplomatic way.
Yeah. The thing is, man, is people think they have these stereotypes on all these platforms like, oh, TikTok, you know, I will never do TikTok. I thought that. Everyone has their own bias towards these platforms, but what we forget to realize is it's just people on the other end of them.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
It's just people, and you're talking to people at the end of the day. And how can, you know, you get what you feel so strongly about, or just entertain and have a good time? Cause that's a big piece of it too. Like people have rough days and they log onto these platforms just to see someone similar that's chopping it up, having fun, you know, and isn't just posting dances, you know? So
I need that reminder. Like I need that reminder that it's okay to be like that. And for those reasons, and that is some people just need to disconnect, and that is their way of doing it. I'm not saying it's a healthy or unhealthy way of doing it, but if it's helpful for them, then great. And it's also what you mentioned about there's people on the other end. And so from a business perspective, that's real estate,